Hey guys, welcome back to Go to Elections. Today I'm going to be doing my full prediction for the 2022 Senate elections and governor elections, which are happening tomorrow. This is of course very big election for the history, for the past, present, and future of the U.S. And I suggest that if you can, you go out and vote and make your choice because your voice is valuable, and if you don't use your voice, then your voice is nothing. So we'll start with safe states. Safe states for Democrats include Oregon, California, Hawaii, New York, Vermont, Connecticut, and Maryland. And the safe states for Republicans include Idaho, Utah, North Dakota, South Dakota, Kansas, both Oklahoma elections. Oops, sorry about that. Hold on. Iowa, Missouri, Arkansas, Louisiana, Alabama, South Carolina, Kentucky, Indiana, and that is it for the safe states. Likely states for Democrats include Illinois, um, and Washington. You could say Washington might be lean, but I think people are kind of. I don't know. I don't really think Washington is going to be that close as people would say. I mean, some polls are saying, Patty Murray's in big trouble. She might lose. But I think that Washington will be likely for Patty Murray. And then the likely states for Republicans include Alaska, Wisconsin, Ohio, and that is it. With Alaska, it's kind of hard to see what would happen because, as you know, they have this moderate. Her name is Lisa Murkowski, and she is facing possibly a write-in, and she might be the write-in actually. And I don't really know how close it's going to be, but I think either Murkowski or the other Republican will win by a likely margin in Alaska. And then in Wisconsin, Ron Johnson's been surging in popularity. If we look at the polls for Wisconsin, here we go. You see, Johnson kind of was not looking too good. Back here, this on 538, great website. I suggest you go and look at the polls and see for yourself. But um, Mandela Barnes is at 50% in the polling. Ron Johnson's only at 45.9. You could see here, it kind of just like spreads, and then like September 19th, between the dates, between kind of around 9/11, Barnes' popularity and goes down and Johnson's popularity surges, and then Johnson takes a huge lead in the polls, and now he has a about 3% lead. But as I said before, usually the polls aren't really a good sample size to use, so really can only show you who's going to win the race and not by how much. So that's why I think Wisconsin will be likely. And then Ohio, I've kind of explained it before. Tim Ryan's not that popular. JD Vance is pretty popular. So yeah. And then the lean states for Democrats are going to include New Hampshire, Colorado, and that is it. So in New Hampshire, it's kind of an interesting race. So you're going to have the incumbent Maggie Hassan and then Donald Bolduc. And you can kind of see here, Hassan's all been holding a steady lead here around 4 to 7 points, but now it's down to about 2. So that's going to be a close race to monitor. I still think it's going to be a lean margin by about 2 to 3. So I kind of agree with this poll. It's one of the few polls that I agree with. But yeah, I think Hassan will win in New Hampshire. And then Colorado's also an interesting race. You have Michael Bennet, the incumbent, versus John O'Dea. And Bennett's kind of holding a strong lead in July. He's at polling at around 11% higher than O'Dea. But you can see here it kind of has been decreasing a little bit. When they last took the poll, Bennett was only leading by 9. I think Michael Bennett's only going to be winning that race by 4. So that should be an interesting race to monitor. If this is like um like a sports thing, that'd probably be my upset pick, like a pick that you'd have to watch if you're the incumbent, you're the person that's favored to win. That will be definitely a race for Michael Bennett to see if he's popular in Colorado, and also to see how Colorado likes Joe Biden. I mean, as all the states would. Yeah, but whatever. And then lean states for Republicans. First of all, I forgot to put Florida as likely, just because Marco Rubio is pretty popular there, and the Latinos are voting more red. And that's kind of the same thing in Nevada, which I think is going to be lean for Adam Laxey. And North Carolina is a little different. North Carolina's the thing where you can't really tell. I mean, North Carolina is kind of hard to predict, and you can see like the polls are going up and down and back and forth. And Bud has a 3-point lead over Beasley right now, but you can see it got pretty close in August. But I think Ted Bud will win by around 4 points in this poll. And then, so now moving on to the tilt states. Democrats, tilt states. I mean, these three races. You consider them truly toss-ups. I mean, in Georgia, Raphael Warnock and Herschel Walker is going to be really close. Same thing in Pennsylvania and Arizona. These were three of the closest states in the 2020 election. There's going to be a lot of claims of voter fraud, a lot of close races here. But these are really, truly toss-ups. But if I had to make a prediction, I would go Arizona. You'd have Blake Masters winning in a very, very, very close margin to the incumbent Mark Kelly. And we can go look at the polls for Arizona, and you'll see it's been back and forth. So Kelly's got a 3-point lead, and then Masters makes a little mistake on the polling or on the campaign trail in about August, and then he kind of makes some gains here. And it's only about 1.5 lead for Kelly. And this is going to be the closest race we might ever see in the Senate, as well as the other two, but especially this one that's going to be really, really close. And then I also have Republicans winning in Pennsylvania. Dr. Oz, people really don't seem to like him, but I think that he will be able to pull out a win over John Fetterman, just because Fetterman hasn't really been out on the campaign trail because of his stroke. I mean, it's not his fault, but just because John Fetterman can't get on the campaign trail more, I think that Dr. Oz will win. And then the only state that the Democrats will win that's probably going to be the closest race. I was saying Arizona was the closest a few seconds ago, but now I think Georgia might be closer than Arizona. And we look at the polls, and you have Raphael Warnock, Herschel Walker, as I said before, and this is one of the only polls that has stayed close this entire time. And Walker right now has a 1-point lead over Warnock, but I don't think that Raphael Warnock will lose this election. I think he's going to win, and it's going to be very, very close. So really, Georgia, I can kind of classify as both tilt Republican and tilt Democrat. I'm going to put it as tilt Democrat, but you can also consider it tilt Republican. So I'm actually going to put Georgia as a toss-up, but it's leaning a little slightly towards the Democrats. So it's a toss-up, but it's leaning towards the Democrats. So that is my Senate prediction. I think Republicans will get 52 seats, and I think Democrats will get 47 seats. Now we are going to move on to the governor's elections. We'll start with the safe states as always, and the safe states for Democrats include California, Hawaii, and Massachusetts. And the safe states for Republicans include Idaho, Wyoming, and New Hampshire and Vermont. And the likely states for Democrats include Colorado, Illinois, and that is all. In Illinois, I want to specifically take a look here. You have Pritzker leading by a lot over Darren Bailey, but I actually think Darren Bailey's going to do better than people expect him to do. I think it'll be around 9 to 10 points for Pritzker, but I still do think Pritzker is going to win. I don't think Darren Bailey's going to win. I think people think he's too extreme for Illinois, and that's why he's very likely not going to win. And then the likely states for Republicans include Alaska, South Dakota, Nebraska, Oklahoma, Arkansas, probably going to be likely, but Tennessee and Alabama. Actually, no, Arkansas will be safe, and so will Tennessee and Alabama. Sorry, this thing keeps moving around. And that we also have South Carolina and Florida as likely, and Texas too. I also want to take a look at Texas. Texas will be an interesting race. You have Beto O'Rourke, who's going for it again, and it's actually closer than I think. Closer on the polls than what will actually happen. Beto O'Rourke, people don't like him in Texas. He's not going to win in Texas. It's going to be about 13 points for Abbott. And then I also want to take a look at Florida. Florida, people I think also think it's going to be closer than expected. I think it's going to be around 13 points, like Texas for DeSantis. And now we will go on to the lean states. Lean states for Democrats include New Mexico, Kansas, Minnesota, Michigan, Pennsylvania, New York, Maine. I think Rhode Island and Connecticut will be likely, and so will Maryland for Democrats. And that is all for the Democrats. And lean states for Republicans are just going to include Georgia and Ohio and Iowa. So I think I want to take a look at Georgia and Iowa, but specifically in Georgia, that's going to be the race to watch. It's another rematch. I mean, there's usually a lot of rematches in the midterms from the last election. So, for example, Brian Kemp won against Stacey Abrams in 2018, and now they're facing off against each other in 2022. And Kemp has a strong lead in the polls. I think it's going to be around 4 points for Brian Kemp in Georgia. And then we can go take a look at Iowa. And Iowa, I think, is going to be way closer than people expect. You have Kim Reynolds leading by 16 points in the polls, but I think it's going to be closer to around 5 points for Kim Reynolds. I don't think she's going to win by that much. I don't know. I just have a feeling that it's probably going to be lean for Reynolds in Iowa. And then the tilt states, which going to be a lot of close races, but I think Republicans will be able to win all of the tilt states that we have on the map. Specifically, I wanted to take a look at Oregon. Oregon, I think, is a race that people sleep on a lot. It's another big upset, as I said, in the Senate. Colorado was the upset one, but you can see here, Oregon is going to be very, very close, obviously, but I think that Drazen, sorry if I pronounced that wrong, will win against Kotek just because Oregon's countryside, whatever you want to call it, plains, I don't know, very, very Republican, and recently especially has been turning very, very, very Republican. It's been skyrocketing in Republican majority, and Republicans have been gaining a lot there, and I think that's why Oregon's governor seat will flip towards the Republicans. So I have Republicans winning 29 seats, or Republicans will have 29 seats, Democrats will have 21 seats. And this is sure to be a very interesting midterm elections. Be sure to hop on Buckeye Politics Stream tomorrow. I will be there watching the coverage. I might be yelling, screaming, I don't even know. But anyways, I mean that's what the midterms can do to you. But make sure you go out and vote if you can. If you can't, make sure you watch to know who you're going to vote for. And thank you guys for watching. Be sure to hit that like button, share, and subscribe. I hope you guys have an amazing day, and I will see you guys in the next video.